Many investors are rushing into Saudi real estate right now, but one of its most ambitious projects already been scaled back.
Now, a revolution in civilization is taking place. Imagine a traditional city and consolidating its footprint, designing to protect and enhance nature. The line will be home to 9 million residents and will be built with a footprint of just 34 square kilometers. And we are designing it to provide a healthier, more sustainable quality of life.
This is not a science fiction. This is The Line, the centerpiece of Saudi Arabia's most daring urban experiments. A project that meant to redefine how people live, move, and interact with the environment. Some of the most ambitious developments have already been built in Saudi Arabia, from the King Abdullah Financial District in Riyadh to the iconic Abraj Al Bayt Towers in Mecca. But The Line stands apart, because today this project is being quietly scaled back, reworked, or I'd better say returned to the reality. And this is the story of why. NEOM is a personal project of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, also known as MBS in Western media. The man who decided that within a single generation, Saudi Arabia must transform from an oil-based monarchy into a diversified technological economy. In 2016, he launched Vision 2030.
You had this 2030. What do you see 10, 20, 30 years for Saudi Arabia?
Well, simply, we have in the past few issues in Saudi Arabia and a lot of opportunities that we didn't use. We're trying to capture that and to go forward for a better Saudi Arabia.
The core idea was simple. Oil will not last forever, and the country needs a new economic engine. That is how NEOM was born.
The population gonna jump in Saudi Arabia from today 33 million in 2030, something between 50 to 55 million. So in 2030, we're gonna reach the full capacity of the existing infrastructure of Saudi Arabia. That's raised very important question that we need to create new city.
What is NEOM? This is NEOM, or here to be more precise, in the northwest of Saudi Arabia. But NEOM is more than a place. It's a home for people who dream big.
A new economic zone on the Red Sea, strategically positioned between Europe, Asia, and Africa. Even the name is symbolic. NEO means new, future in Arabic. From the very beginning, it was clear. This was not just a construction. It was a political and economical statement.
They say in a lot of projects that happen in Saudi Arabia, it can be done. This is very ambitious. They can't keep saying that, and we can't keep proving them wrong.
NEOM was never meant to be just another city. It was designed as an entirely new model of civilization. Its key components: the line, a linear city with no cars, no roads, and no emissions. All services within 5 minutes walk, high-speed underground transport, vertical density instead of urban sprawl. Oxagon, a floating industrial and logistics hub, factories, ports, and data centers. Trojena, a ski resort in the desert. Yes, snow at 40 degrees Celsius, and future host of the Asian Winter Games. Sindalah, luxury island for yachts and ultra-high-end tourism. The entire system was supposed to operate on 100% renewable energy, artificial intelligence, robotic logistics, and zero-carbon framework. Silicon Valley, Dubai, and Blade Runner all in one project. To understand NEOM, you have to understand the man behind it, but at a scale of an entire country. Big ideas, fast execution, minimal compromise, and huge investment.
My problem that the infrastructure idea is good, but when you get in it with a 2 kilo width, you don't feel it. I told the team, how about if we take that 2 kilo and we flip it to 2 towers to the whole line? Does that gonna work? It's gonna be massive.
This approach brings speed, but it also dramatically increases risk. Financial Times calls MBS the most ambitious reformer of the Middle East. Bloomberg describes him as a high-risk, high-reward strategist. The Economist cautiously notes the fastest social transformation of a conservative society in modern history. When analysts say high risk, they mean a bet placed at maximum scale. Let's go back to Vision 2030, where it actually worked. It definitely worked in tourism. Saudi Arabia opened itself to international tourism for the first time in the history. Visas, festivals, Formula One, concerts, tourist flows are growing. Entertainment. Riyadh Seasons turned the capital into a regional events hub, something unimaginable just a decade ago. Business localization. Global corporations are genuinely relocating regional headquarters to Riyadh due to new regulations. In these areas, the strategy works. Let's talk about where ambition went too far. NEOM in its original scale was obviously too fast, too expensive, too little market testing. The line as an urban model, on paper, stunning. In real sociology, deeply questionable. Cities cannot be built like factories, they grow like living systems. The line became that bet. What the line is actually? The line is a city formed by two parallel skyscrapers, each rising 500 meters above the ground, taller than almost every skyscraper on Earth. Each building is 200 meters wide, and together they stretch an astonishing 170 kilometers along Saudi Arabia's northwest coast near the Red Sea. The entire city exists inside this structure. No cars, no streets, no exhaust fumes. The plan was to house up to 9 million people, all powered exclusively by clean energy. Its mirrored exterior would reflect the surrounding landscape, visually dissolving the city into the desert. Inside, parks, waterfalls, flying taxis, robot assistants, even plans for an artificial moon. Linear cities, living cities. Real cities grow through nodes, clusters, centers of gravity, and varying density. A line is the opposite. One endless corridor, uniform space across tens of kilometers, no natural centers. Urbanists agree that people form social connections through neighborhoods, plazas, and intersections, not through an infinite corridor. A practical question follows. Where is the city center? Where is the business district? Where is nightlife? Where do price differences emerge? Without this, a real estate market cannot form. Second problem is logistics and vulnerability. In the renders, everything is 5 minutes away. But in engineering reality, a 170 kilometer city depends on a single transport spine. One failure, one maintenance issue, one bottleneck, that is not resilience. Network cities are resilient. Linear systems are fragile. Human psychology you need to also take into consideration. Living without a horizon, between two mirrored walls, half a kilometer tall, without traditional streets. This creates scale pressure, loss of orientation, and corridor effects. Environmental psychology shows that humans adapt poorly to ultra-monotonous environment. This is not speculation, it's research. Let's talk about very obvious problem, heat. Desert conditions mean 45 degrees Celsius, direct solar radiation and sandstorms. Glass facades trap heat, require massive cooling, and dramatically increase energy consumption. Even in Dubai, glass is the most expensive facade type to operate. Here it would be 170 kilometers of glass. The question is, why? What for? Now think about reflection. Mirrored surfaces create solar corridors. They concentrate light. They raise local temperatures. In London, this is a real story. A single glass tower once melted cars on the street. Now imagine 170 kilometers of mirrors in desert. Now let's think about maintenance. Glass in the desert is constantly covered in dust. It loses reflectivity. It requires continuous cleaning. That means water, logistics, maintenance, and enormous operational costs. Let's speak about ecology, one of the main points of the project. In presentation, the line is zero carbon city. In engineering reality, it requires massive cooling, desalination, material transport, and constant facade maintenance. The carbon footprint is anything but zero. Now let's finalize. Costs, delays, and scaling back. When the line was announced in 2021, its estimated cost was around $200 billion. By 2024, independent estimates suggest figures approaching $2 trillion, which is roughly twice Saudi Arabia's annual GDP. The project was expected to deliver 16 kilometers by 2030, housing 500,000 residents. Current expectations are far more modest. Under 3 kilometers completed, and that can accommodate fewer than 3,000 residents. The project obviously faced up with engineering challenges, management complexity, and leadership changes slowed the progress. Even senior insiders now admit some elements will proceed, others will be delayed or completely abandoned. It looks extraordinary, but it's extraordinarily difficult to build. And the main question, in my opinion, is what for? Well, it's not the end. The line is not dead. What died is the idea that a city can be drawn as a pure abstraction and immediately built in the desert. Ambition creates great visions, but only economics, physics, and human behavior decide which visions survive. If you want honest analysis of mega projects, urban experiments, and Middle Eastern real estate, subscribe. No marketing illusions here. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.